Joining me now is Annie Cyrus. Annie, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. I missed you. I had to come back.
Where did you go somewhere?
No, I mean on air with you.
Oh yeah, well we missed you too, and I wanted to reach out to you because you've been doing an update for us. But I thought, well, I'll give her a break. We've had her on so much, and then this afternoon I hollered at you and said, "Come on, give us an update. What do you got?" And turns out you do have some updates for us related to Afghanistan, China, Iran. What do you got for us, Annie?
Well, I do have lots of updates, and I think we should start here since you were talking about investment. We should just probably start here. It has not been reported in American media as far as I know, but today, our time today, the first humanitarian aid from Uzbekistan, which contained 1,300 tons of food, clothing, and medicine, arrived in Afghanistan and was handed over to Taliban under promise that it will be fairly given to people of Afghanistan. And the first $1 billion aid by United Nations has been transferred to Taliban as a humanitarian aid for Afghanistan. How's that for an update?
Good grief. So we're now going to arm the Taliban, give them human aid, humanitarian aid to the Taliban, a terrorist organization.
Yes, we're going to apparently feed them, give them medicine. We already gave them $85 billion in weaponry, and now we're going to give them cash as well. Now, I just want to make this clear.
And then, by the way, here's the screenshot we have from Daniel Greenfield. Biden has sent $64 million to Taliban before getting all the Americans out. So, yeah, I mean, this is not good. By the way, so Annie, you and I work hard. You and I both work very, very long hours, as do many of our listeners, and we all pay taxes. So what you're telling me is we're now working hard to pay taxes to fund a terrorist organization that wants to kill us. So we're funding our own demise. What a stupid group of people running this country.
Exactly.
Or are they maybe stupid? Maybe they're not stupid, Annie. Maybe they're actually brilliant and bright, and they actually are working to bring down this country and destroy us because they are working for the red-green axis. And the ones that are lacking knowledge is we, the people, that don't realize we're being ruled by people that actually are outside the rule of law and actually should not even be recognized. They should be given no honor, should not be recognized. They have actually broken the law. And somewhere along the way, maybe some federal judges and retired generals and other high-ranking people should step forward and start demanding that we, the people, no longer tolerate this treasonous behavior. I mean, maybe these people aren't stupid. Am I right? They're not stupid. I mean, you want to think they're stupid, but I'm thinking they actually know what they're doing.
They are not stupid. They are evil. And
There
the
you
problem
go.
is, by nature, for people like me and you and a lot of our fellow Americans, we know evil is out there. But because we're good, we try to not see it. We try not to face it. But the reality is right now in our country, in America, this is it. This is good versus evil. Evil has taken control of our government and our country. And I agree with you. Yes, we the people need to wake up. We kind of need to leave our comfort zone of everything is good, everybody is good. We got to see the good in people. Enough of that. Unfortunately, it's time for us to see them for who they are. They are evil. It does take evil to make a deal with Iran, Taliban, China, excuse me, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. It's evil when they know for a fact every single one of these countries have one goal, one mission, and that is to destroy us, take away our freedom. They want to change our lifestyle and make it theirs. That's what they're doing.
They want to take away our lifestyle, because your beautiful accent, I'll make sure people understood. They want to take away our lifestyle and replace it with theirs, which is Sharia, right?
Pretty much, yes. 1,400 years backward. And here's where I say it gets worse, because a new group has been created named Welcome to America. The honorary leaders of Welcome to America are Obama, Clinton, and Bush family. Wife and husband are the honorary leaders of the group Welcome to America. mission statement of Welcome to America group. We are going to welcome Afghan refugees who are arriving. We will make them comfortable and we will support them.
Do they have a website? Do they have a website I can go to real quick?
No, the website isn't up yet.
Oh,
The announcement was today. And that's the funny part, because I got the notification from Afghan International News with a picture of Bush, Clinton, and Obama on it saying Bush, Clinton, Obama are going to welcome Afghan refugees and motivate the rest of Americans to get involved.
Yeah, looky there. Looky there. You want to show my screenshot, Logan?
got
Obama,
it?
yeah, Obama, Bush, and Clinton to welcome Afghan evacuees to U.S. Tuesday, September 14th. Former President Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama, along with the former First Ladies, will be working with initiatives to help resettle Afghan evacuees who fled the Taliban. How do we know they're not the Taliban? Annie,
Oh
how do we...
wait! I have a better question. This help settling them in. Are we gonna also help the four, as of right now, cases of child brides? Like, are we gonna make sure they have a comfortable bed to rape their child bride? Is that part of the settling or no?
Well, that's very interesting that you mentioned that, because, let me see, I saw an article on that. Let's see, where did I go? jihadwatch.org.
It's on Jihad Watch and Front Page Mag. Both have reported on the child bride cases reported on their Afghan refugees. A 60-year-old man claiming a 12-year-old as his wife.
Yeah, because I saw the article somewhere that they had a bunch of these dudes show up to be evacuated. That turned out they showed up on and got on the American planes. We brought them over here with their child brides.
Yes, and they are still with their brides. As of right now, latest updates, and I want to say this. I promise you, Live Up to Freedom is getting involved. We are getting involved. We're working on paperwork. We're going to work every angle. We're going to rescue these kids, regardless of what our federal government is proposing right now, which is, under cultural differences, we should accept them as genuine marriage. Just so you know, this is where we're going right now. We're going to get involved.
Where's this article on frontpagemag.com? Because I'm having a hard time finding it. I want to show the audience.
The child bride one?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm going to look it up. You take over.
I saw it earlier. Here, no, that's not it. I saw it earlier, and I was going to mark it and bring it up on the show because I saw it earlier. Then all of a sudden, now I've lost it. I can't find it. But it was written by Robert Spencer, I believe, right?
I believe so. Yes, because I actually interviewed him regarding this, child brides.
Let's see. I'm going to find it for you people. We're not giving up yet. It's around here somewhere. Robert Spencer. Let's go to frontpagemag.com. Type in Robert Spencer. Robert Spencer. I saw it earlier tonight before we went on the air, and I thought I got to mark that one down and go to it. And then I forgot to do it. And then when you brought it up, it reminded me. It's got to be here somewhere. Here we go.
Well, I have the one from CBS News, if that works.
Yeah, that works. Tell me about that one.
So hold on. I'm going to go ahead and... it basically says U.S. Investigates quote-unquote child bride cases among Afghan evacuees. U.S. authorities are now investigating the case of so-called child brides among the Afghans who fled Afghanistan in the past few weeks and are now in U.S. custody both inside the U.S. and in facilities abroad. CBS News has learned that several Afghan women and girls who were evacuated to facilities in the United Arab Emirates have told officials that their families forced them into marriage outside of the Kabul airport so that they could be eligible for evacuation. A senior State Department official said authorities are taking the claims seriously and investigating. Human trafficking is a federal crime and also illegal in every state.
Yeah. Here it is, too.
However, as I said, my question is, if they're taking these claims serious, why are those children not taken away by Children Protection Services?
Yeah, this actually been out since September 4th. Here, I finally found it. Some Afghan evacuees brought their child brides to U.S. with them. Robert Spencer, September 4th. A senior official in Biden's clueless and chaotic State Department admitted Wednesday that most of the Afghans who actually served as interpreters for the U.S. forces, as well as those who applied for special immigrant visas, were left behind in Kabul. In fact, according to Wall Street Journal, the U.S. still didn't have a reliable data on who was evacuated. However, there's growing evidence that among the evacuees who have been brought to the United States is a substantial number of human traffickers who brought the children they call their wives with them. Now, let's go back to what we were saying earlier, because the reason I wanted to make sure we pulled this article up and found it was, you've got George W., you got Obama, that's Barack Hussein Obama, and you got Bill Clinton telling us we got to welcome the evacuees from Afghanistan, and what we're welcoming is people that are into Sharia. Because if you got a child bride, you're into Sharia or Islamic law, are you not, Annie?
Absolutely, 100%. You follow the perfect example of a Muhammad.
Who, by the way, got married Aisha at 6 and consummated it at 9, right?
Yes, he married Aisha when she was 6 and raped her when she was 9 and called it consummating the marriage.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it, rape, because that's what it would be. So you got George W. and these guys wanting to welcome child rapists, Sharia proponents to America, and those of us that don't, we're involved in Islamophobia. But I also noticed earlier tonight over at worldviewreport.com, let me find it here, worldviewreport.com, let's see. Okay, here we go, show this, Logan. I noticed over at worldviewreport.com, if Islamophobia is so rampant in the U.S., and by the way, this is worldviewreport.com. Look at all these articles he put up the last few days. We've got to move some to the bottom of the page. Worldviewreport.com. But look at this one right here. On 9/11, there was 1,200 mosques in the U.S. Now there are nearly 3,000. So much for Islamophobia.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually saw that article today, and I couldn't help but to think, are we really going to continue being nice? And I'm using air quote finger thingy, nice. Because it's more important to not be an Islamophobe than realize we are enabling the most dangerous enemy of the state.
Yes.
Who want us dead, who want our children's childhood ripped away from them by calling them an adult woman at age 9. We want to be nice. We don't want to have confrontation. Well, it's kind of getting too late, because if we don't confront these 3,000 mosques, how many more mosques do we need to have involved with Islamic jihad and terrorism in America before somebody actually say, hey, listen, can we possibly look into what's happening at all these local mosques?
What is a mosque? What is, for maybe the new people, what is a mosque really? Is it, I know, because I know they're led to believe it's just a house of worship for Muslims, right? But what is it really?
Well, a mosque is technically, yes, house of worship for Muslims. However, it's also in a school. A mosque can be in school, Islamic school, to where a lot of imams that you see, they could go to those mosques that are collected or selected as the schools to become imams themselves after their training and classes. But the main part of a mosque is the military setup. In a mosque, meetings take place for an attack. Because remember, the only person in a non-Islamic country who has the right to call for a jihad is an imam. There is an imam in a mosque.
And what is an imam? Imam means teacher, right?
Imam means teacher. However, an imam in a position of running a mosque. Because some mosques have different levels of imam, but when you're the leader of a mosque, then you're leader of the society in a scholarly way of Sharia. So you're a leader, and I guess it's a kind of a professor and a leader, especially, again, military leader. And again, we're talking about non-Islamic societies. We're not talking about Iran. We're not talking about Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, or Pakistan. They already have their leaders because the country is already Sharia country. We're talking about Western countries that are not under the law of Sharia, or constitution of Sharia is the proper English to use. So those places, they have their mosques. And every time a mosque goes up, it's a sign of conquer. there is enough number of Muslims in that area to require their mosque, because now they need their own Islamic or Sharia leader within the society who will give a judgment between a wife and a husband, who can marry a 10-year-old to a 40-year-old man. These are all the positions of an imam in a non-Islamic society.
And now they've got 1,300 of these suckers. And you know what's really interesting is
3,000.
that...
No. 3,000.
We went from 1,200 to 3,000. Sorry. Thank you.
Yes.
1,200 to 3,000. And I remember an article, it was over at the New American, people could probably search it and find it, where France a few years ago was going around and closing down these mosques because they were going in and raiding a few of them and finding military-grade weaponry in these mosques. So they started going around and closing a ton of these mosques in France because after these terrorist attacks, they would research and find out what's going on. The guy came from this mosque, and they find out this is a terrorist-tied mosque. And they go in and they raid those mosques and find military-grade weaponry. And I remember the article talking about how much military-grade weaponry they were finding in a short period of time compared to normal periods they would find that amount of military-grade weaponry. Military-grade weaponry in those mosques in France. I mean, in France, these guys are not known for being the most, aggressive people on the planet, and yet they're smart enough to spill out in their streets right now in France over the COVID passports, and they've been smart enough to raid the mosque and find military-grade weapon. I mean, France might be a better place to move to than the U.S. if this continues.
It was a dark joke, but I was talking to a friend of mine who's also an Iranian American today, and he was saying he feels like in about a year or two, it will be safer for him to move to Afghanistan than to stay in America. And the reason he was saying that is because, again, I don't know if you heard or not, but it was announced by Secretary of Defense that they are worried and concerned that within a year or two, Al-Qaeda will gain enough power and momentum in Afghanistan to be a threat to America like there were on September 11th. And nothing they're doing about it. Which brings the question of, wait a minute, so in a year or two, Al-Qaeda, not Taliban, Al-Qaeda, which I have always said there's no difference between them. They want you to think they're not buddies, but they are. But you're worried Al-Qaeda will gain enough power in Afghanistan to be as much of a threat to America as they were in 2001, but then we're sending humanitarian aid to Taliban.
Yeah.
And we didn't go back to destroy the $85 billion weaponaries. The 80 million out of 85 million weaponaries were purchased by Iran already from Taliban.
All right, let's repeat that. You said 80 million of the 85. Okay, so we leave behind 85 billion, We leave behind $85 billion in weaponry, and you're telling me that 80 billion of the 85 billion has been bought by Iran. 80 of the 85 billion bought by Iran.
Yes.
And what are they doing with it?
Well, a few things. One, they are definitely looking into engineering the technology, because Iran has the money and the means to do so. Actually, was it 3 or 4 days ago that I'm drawing a blank, our own military said they had to shut down 2 of our own 2 drones that was left behind by Taliban. They're testing some of them, they're re-engineering some of them, or replicating the technology, and then some of them are making their ways, as I said, to Hamas. Gaza Strip.
Israel. They're going to attack Israel with them.
Yes.
Attack Israel with them.
Yes.
I want to give you your website again. liveuptofreedom.com, right?
Yes, liveuptofreedom.com. And since you were saying at the beginning about the connection, I also want your audience to know that every Wednesday of every week at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I host a weekly webinar by David Horowitz Freedom Center, free to public. But it's every Wednesday. We bring an expert who will give you updates and information. And there's a Q&A segment within that 1 hour. So I host those every Wednesday.
And where
tomorrow.
At Frank's Speech or liveuptofreedom.com?
They can find all the registrations on liveuptofreedom.com.
Liveuptofreedom.com. All right. Now, I don't want you to let you go. I just wanted to plug that. Now, I don't know. Do you have anything else for us before I move into another topic I think you might find interesting related to China, Iran, and Afghanistan?
Yes. Well, the Chinese people, or what do we call it? Chinese government is the proper English. The Chinese government. I'm actually clicking on it to read properly. So a Chinese company has already got involved, and they're already getting ready to start doing business with Taliban. That was posted yesterday, where they already finished negotiation to go ahead and start working, literally doing business with Taliban in Afghanistan. That's for China. But the update from Russia is the fact that Putin seems to be getting ready to kind of sort of go in and try to fight Taliban in Afghanistan. Now, some people might think that's a good idea, but I don't think that's a good idea. The worst scenario than Iran owning Afghanistan is Russia owning Afghanistan.
And why do you say that?
Well, I shouldn't say worse. I would say they're both equally nightmare. Remember again, Afghanistan might look, when you look at videos of Afghanistan, it's like some really miserable place. But the land of Afghanistan is not a miserable place. They have, I think you call them poppies, the flower.
Oh, the poppies, the poppies.
Yes.
The poppies. Well, we don't want you to think puppies as in little dogs. Poppies as in you make drugs from it.
Exactly. You make drugs from them. And that's the thing. That's how Taliban are so wealthy right now. Selling that to our people, just so you know.
Yeah, exactly.
To our people, that's where it gets more personal. So I don't think Russia is going to be any more polite with access to that much drugs.
Have you, by the way, have you done much research on the history? Because I know you and I were kind of young when all this was going on. But I was watching a documentary last night about Afghanistan, and the Soviet Union moved into Afghanistan during the 80s, during the Reagan years, and we actually were the ones that were providing all the armament and a lot of funding to this Islamic group of people that turned out to be, Taliban, right? We were funding the Taliban, and we were working with guys, I think, like Osama bin Laden, but we were pumping military equipment over there for them to fight the Soviets when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. And so have you studied all that, by the way?
Yes, I am somewhat pretty familiar with that, but I'm also very familiar on a personal level of life with the fact that America does do that.
Yeah.
Remember when Iran-Iraq war was going on?
Yeah.
And I actually posted this recently. I said, I know why we went to Iraq, because it was a distraction or pretendance that we're defending our country. But we went to Iraq looking for chemical weapons that we sold them. We already knew they have it. We gave it to them when they were fighting Iran. It's like a circle that keeps coming back. America gets behind one, what do we call it? Dictator after another jihadi.
Yeah, we fund them, we train them, we arm them, and then they come and kill us. And the American people have lost they're so busy watching Married with Children and Roseanne that back in the day they didn't. Now they're busy watching whatever the latest shows are, and then of course you have one crisis after another that gets created as a distraction. But you're right, we fund, we train these people and finance them, and then they turn around and kill us and plan terror attacks on us. But one has to wonder if Russia might want to go in there, because they've tried that once before. This would be a chance for them to get a hold of it. But reality is, if China gets a hold of it, Russia gets to have a head, because Russia and China are in military alliance. Russia, China, and Iran are all in military alliance. So I think if China can get their footing in there, it's not going to be too hard for them to all work together, because they're all in military alliance together.
And that's why I said I shouldn't have said worse. It's equally, it's literally, it doesn't matter which one, as you said, China, Russia, Iran, whichever one gets Afghanistan.
Because they're all the same at the end of the day when they're in military alliance. I mean, we know that China and Russia had a military, in 2018, carried out Vostok in 2018, Russia and China. We have video of it in my documentary Siege, which will show you some more parts of that in the future here. But we have video of one of the leaders of China and Putin there as they're carrying out what is said to be the largest military exercise in world history, Vostok 18. A few months later, Russia, China, and Iran carried out a military exercise together. So if China can get in there and get a foothold, Russia and Iran won't be far behind. Let me ask you your thoughts on something else. And again, you may or may not find this of interest or have a comment, but let me show you the screen, because I saw this the other day. This is linked, Logan, at worldviewreport.com. Worldviewreport.com. I have this linked up there. U.S. removes advanced missile defense system from Saudi air base. That's a report. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby confirms that certain air defense assets have been redeployed, even as Saudi Arabia faces continued Houthi attacks. Now, I want to read in here because somewhere along the way we started getting comments from some of the folks in Saudi Arabia. Okay, here we go. Nevertheless, okay, let me go back up here. The redeployment of some defense capabilities of the friend United States of America from the region is carried out through common understanding and realignment of defense strategies as an attribute of operational deployment and disposition, said the statement. And of course, that was coming from, I don't know. Meanwhile, the Saudi Defense Ministry told AP the kingdom's relationship with the U.S. remains strong, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but look at this. Nevertheless, the Saudi prince, Turki al-Faisal, the kingdom's former intelligence chief, told CNBC on Thursday that the kingdom needs, quote, to be reassured about American commitment, in quote. Quote, that looks like, for example, not withdrawing Patriot missiles from Saudi Arabia at a time when Saudi Arabia is the victim of missile attacks and drone attacks, not just from Yemen, but from Iran, end quote, Prince Faisal said during the interview. Now, Annie, the reason I find this interesting is because if Biden is going to play patty cake with the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, etc., and he's going to now remove these defense systems from Saudi Arabia, the reason that is of interest to me, because as I remember, or as I understand it, when Nixon closed the gold window in, I think, 1971, part of the deal was we would get Saudi Arabia to trade oil in the world market with the American dollar, to peg the price of oil with the American dollar to create what would then become the petrodollar, the world reserve currency then being the U.S. dollar. And if they would peg on the world market the price of oil in a U.S. dollar, we would protect Saudi Arabia. So Kuwait gets invaded by Iraq, and we rush in Gulf War I, George H. Bush, to protect them. People are like, where's our interest? Not just oil, but where's our interest? We got to protect the petro-U.S. dollar, and Nixon cut a deal with them when we closed the gold window, and we aren't backing our dollars by gold anymore, to back it by black gold, oil. We'll protect you, peg the price of oil on the world market with the U.S. dollar, the petrodollar. Now, if that goes away, if Saudi Arabia feels betrayed by the U.S., and I'm not here defending Saudi Arabia because we've known for a long time, big news this week, that Saudi Arabia was involved in 9/11. We've been telling you guys that for a long time. That's in my documentary, Siege. We know they went running around. The Saudi hijackers, by the way, were involved, and that there were some high-level people involved. We also know that some of those Saudi hijackers went over to Iran, did some training reportedly on flight simulators in Iran, and didn't get their passports stamped, and then were able to go back into Saudi Arabia, which then wouldn't flag when they came here to the U.S. to carry out what they did. So we know there's a problem going on. I'm not sitting here defending Saudi Arabia, but apparently at some point, Saudi Arabia, being Sunni, are quite worried about Iran, the Shiites. But if we don't stick with Saudi Arabia with this missile defense system, they at all start falling out with us in a serious manner. How long before the Biden administration pokes a stick in their eye and they say, well, phooey on you, and they stop trading oil and pegging it in the world market with the American dollar, the petrodollar? Then the petrodollar collapses. What is our dollar backed by? So I have to wonder if the Biden administration, again, isn't seeking to set up a crisis that they can exploit, as the Federal Reserve is working on a central bank dollar, and we got this massive problem with inflation already. The reports are now, the last couple of days, how high it really is. But you think you got inflation now? Let all those U.S. dollars that are overseas, because people are holding it as the world reserve currency and the petrodollar, come rushing back to our shores. So my question is, I don't know if that's even on your radar, Annie, or not in your studies, and don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just think it's ridiculous to see this happening when you think about the fact that we need the dollar to be backed by something other than just our own consumer confidence in the U.S. If we turn on Saudi Arabia, again, I'm not a big defender of them, but we got ourselves in the situation we're in now, so we better be strategic, and we start pulling out our defense systems on them, and they say, well, we'll show you. They do away with the U.S. world reserve currency, petrodollar. We're toast. What are your thoughts?
Well, you definitely nailed it. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you mentioned this. Yes, I have been keeping my eyes on it, not based on the reports from here, but reports from Iran TV, the Islamic Republic of Iran's TV or broadcast news. And I need you to also keep in mind, one of the reasons right now, Iran, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, they're all trying to reverse the friendship of or alliance of America and Saudi Arabia. As remember,
yes.
In no shape or form will I ever defend Saudi Arabia.
Exactly.
However, as Claire Lopez said, September 11 until today, in last 20 years, Saudi Arabia has made changes to where they walked away from the global jihad movement. That is what Iran doesn't like right now. Right now, as they're establishing the same momentum right before 9/11, which was Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, Al-Qaeda, and Taliban, and Saudi Arabia. Now, we don't have Saudi Arabia in the picture anymore, which is delaying the build-up of the second September 11. That is what Iran doesn't like, because Saudi Arabia has made changes to where they decided to do a different one. Again, I'm not saying Saudi Arabia isn't looking for global caliphate. They just decided to do it a different way. On that note, because Biden administration is completely owned by Islamic Republic of Iran's regime, they will do whatever Iran wants them to do.
And Iran hates Saudi Arabia, so here we're going to poke a stick in Saudi Arabia's eye, remove these systems, but then again, this could play into the Biden's desire, because he's been tapped for one reason, and that is to destroy America, bring down America, crash America every level he can, because you need the great collapse to justify the great reset. A series I started on Sunday night, part 2 this Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central Time here, but this again goes right along with that deliberate process to collapse America. Get Saudi Arabia to dump the petrodollar. Oops.
Oh, but that's the thing. Again, as you said, your documentary explains it all. This red-green axis is way more than a couple of leftists and a couple of jihadis working together. Oh, no. This is widespread. This is perfectly planned. And that's why people need to start connecting the dots, seeing what's going where. Yes, we should never be allies with Saudi Arabia as much as we should never be allies with Iran. But which one is out to get us worst and first would be Iran.
And which one are we needing to trade oil in the world market pegged by the U.S. dollar?
Exactly. And so that's why Biden administration is head over heels worried and trying so hard to make that deal with Iran, because as you said, it will speed up the collapse they need inside America.
Yep. And how many people understand what we just said tonight, Annie?
I would say 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I would say that's high, but even if 3 out of 10, yeah, not a lot of people get this. Very important stuff. LiveUpToFreedom.com, LiveUpToFreedom.com, right?
LiveUpToFreedom.com. Yes, LiveUpToFreedom.com.
Thank you, Annie. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.